Greetings survivors and friends, SHADOWFRAX here with the most significant update to Rust so far, the one where pies were finally added, despite having been rejected on the roadmap. I think we all knew they were just playing hard to get though. May you go forth and conquer the world with these pies, my friends. Savor. And yes, chaps, I am finally satisfied. Thanks. There were a lot of other far less important things added in this update, and I'll tell you all about their final form shortly. But first, you might be wondering, what happened to premium servers? And what about those workbench changes we were told were going to happen? Okay, so if you missed it, last week it was announced that a new experimental premium server setting and tag would be getting added, and that any servers with these would have a barrier to entry based on your Rust Steam inventory. Namely that it must be valued at $15 or more. This would include items from the permanent store, such as building skins, decor packs and hazmat skins, as well as any other tradable Rust items with an attached value. Currently, it wouldn't include standalone DLC such as instruments, sunburn and voice props packs, although this may change in the future. Additional info not mentioned last week was that these servers will only be visible to you if your inventory is over the threshold, and that they will be ranked higher on the server listings against their non-premium counterparts. Interesting. As mentioned before, the idea is to keep cheap disposable cheat accounts out of these servers, but of course, it's not going to stop everyone. I mean, at the very least now you'll be sure of meeting a slightly higher tier of cheater on these servers with a bit more cash to splash. Awesome. Personally, I'd also add an in-game time threshold to this. I know there are ways to game that as well, but if you've got over $15 in your account, you've probably played more than, say, 50 to 100 hours. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Premium servers were supposed to go live this week, but they were delayed until March the 13th to ensure the back-end systems are able to sustain the rush of players and cheaters. So another thing that wasn't entirely popular was that you were going to have to unlock Tier 2 and 3 workbenches through the tech tree, but you may be glad to know that this was subject to change, was rolled back, and they are still all default BPs. That's not to say the tech trees haven't changed though. As mentioned, all of the electrical, plumbing, industrial and car-related stuff, including turrets, which are right at the bottom, have been separated out into their own engineering workbench, which you'll have to unlock on the Tier 1 tree here. This also means the other trees have moved about a bit, and you can see the general layouts thusly. Okay, so to try to condense this massive update into as short a space as possible, here goes. This month saw the release of the crafting update, which has been cooking for quite some time, and first of all there's a new cooking workbench allowing for tier 2 cooking and recipes that grant various buffs, with several types of pie, giving timed bonuses to things like night vision, harvesting, better genes when planting crops, and improved healing. You can also cook bread loaves here, all of the teas, low grade, gunpowder, bulle, basically anything you can make at a mixing table. Plus, you can cook meat directly in it, like a barbecue. Which makes me wonder, what exactly is the point of the mixing table now? Seeing as this is only slightly more expensive. Also, talking of teas, there are 4 new varieties, cooling and warming ones which lower or increase your core and minimum/maximum temperatures for 30 minutes each. There's a harvesting tea to help you get more out of corpses, and a crafting quality tea for armor crafting, more of which shortly. Also, as mentioned last week, all food that's cooking now has a visual model which changes as it reaches its final form, and this includes meat, pies and bread. The chicken coop is a new deployable for keeping chickens, which have a new upgraded model. The eternal question is finally answered too, as you have to hatch said chickens from eggs that wild chickens will occasionally emit when a player is near them. Your needy chickens will need sunlight, feeding, watering and petting to keep them at optimum happiness, and happy chickens produce more eggs of course. Raw meat will now spoil in 6 hours, but this can be extended to 24 hours by cooking it, and if kept in a powered fridge, spoilage timers will be frozen. All meats also now have their own models. There's a new triangle planter with 4 slots which can be skinned to a railroad version too, free if you already own the Frontier pack, and this is also compatible with the spray can. There's also a new single plant pot which costs 200 wood a pop. Don't ask me how, and you can fit up to about 16 of these on a foundation. This is quite handy because half-height planter stacking was outlawed in this patch, but it doesn't currently apply to pots. That'll probably get fixed for being too much fun though. This patch saw the introduction of bees. Natural hives will appear in the wild in oak trees. You can then harvest these for honeycomb, and it's advisable to wear a hazmat to protect against the ensuing swarm. You can also ward them off with a torch and rid yourself of them completely by splashing yourself with water or using a flamethrower or smoke grenade. Honeycomb can be extracted from your inventory for honey, which can be sold at the bandit camp, and a potential nucleus that can be used in a couple of ways. Firstly, you can insert it into the new beehive deployment deployable, which will allow you to produce more honeycomb at home. The nucleus will also level up the longer it's in the hive, and thus it will produce more. Hives like to be outside, but they don't like getting rained on, and they prefer a temperate, low-altitude environment, so if you keep them elsewhere, you'll probably need to employ some heaters. The other, more fun thing you can do with a nucleus is to make a bee grenade, a portable swarm spawner that has the same effect as a natural swarm and consequently the same ways of getting rid of it. Hoppers are now in also and can be attached to large wood boxes and storage barrels. When powered up, they will suck in anything dropped in line of sight in a small radius around them. They act like a storage adapter too, so you don't need to use those separately. And any corpses or backpacks dropped near them will also be sucked in, harvested, and sorted internally. Item ownership is back, but not like the XP system, if you can remember back that far. This time, you'll merely be able to see who created an item, or in the case of admins, spawned it. It only supports unstackable items and will only show the original creator of the item, regardless of how many times it's changed hands. There's now the chance that a number of different armors can have up to 3 armor slots when crafted, and the chance of this can be increased with the new crafting quality tea, as mentioned. In addition, several headgears can now have 1 slot, and into these can be inserted 4 different types of armor insert. There's wood, which provides basic projectile and melee protection, metal, which gives a bit more projectile, but can only be found rarely in loot or on scientists, and asbestos and lead, which also offer fire and rad protection respectively. There are some new plants in the wilderness. Wheat, which you'll find near rivers it seems, and can be turned into bread, and 3 types of flowers. Orchids, roses and sunflowers are 3 cosmetic plants that can be grown at home to glam the place up a bit. They aren't used in crafting anything, but you can sell them at the staples for a bit of extra scrap. There have also been some quality of life changes in this patch, such as drone range and health having been doubled, wood armor crafting cost being reduced, over 40 items receiving a reduction in crafting times, and the power requirements for neon signs having been halved. Train tunnels have also been moved up towards the surface a bit to reduce the length of elevators, staircases and rail transitions, and there are a number of new preset quality levels and options available in the graphics menu. As mentioned last week, player server occlusion is slowly being rolled out and improved upon. This will hopefully hinder the use of ESP on servers, and as testing has shown it to be stable so far, it will be rolled out eventually to be the default setting, and will extend to include not just terrain, but rocks, monuments, and entities inside player bases. And if you didn't think the team were working on optimizations, then think again. I won't go into it, but if you're interested to see all the work that's being done to improve server performance, check out the write-ups on this week's dev blog with extensive sections dealing with server profiling, optimizations, networking, physics, and much more. Absolutely riveting. Looking ahead now, there's much in the commits to get excited about, mainly to do with the new jungle biome that's coming next, and work is continuing on crocs, tigers, snakes, vines, jungle ruins, a boomerang, a blowpipe, and outbreak scientists, which will have what looks like sprayers to spray things with. Possibly you. I don't know the ETA on all that stuff, but looking ahead to next month at the moment, I'm told some things that are planned include some unspecified changes to weapon damage, player health, TCs, bags, taxes, and respawns, so expect a bit of rebalancing. But for anything else that changes on that front, stay tuned, and I'll keep you up to date. Let me know what you thought to this month's patch and news in the comments below, please. Leave a like and a sub if you'd be so kind. You can join me on all my socials, including my Steam group, and support the channel here with super thanks, YouTube memberships, and on Patreon. All the links are below. I shall catch you all soon. But in the meantime, keep calm and stay rusty. Cheerio. May you go forth and conquer the world with these pies, my friends. Savor.